The peaceful morning I moved into Silver Pine Lake turned into a full-blown circus before I'd even set the last box down. Picture this. The sun barely up the lake, quiet as glass. I'm standing there on my new dock box labeled Kitchen Fragile in my arms, just soaking it all in, when suddenly two police cruisers come roaring down the drive, kicking up dust like they were late for a bank robbery. And before I can even process what's happening, here comes a woman in a neon pink visor and matching tracksuit, waving a clipboard like she's about to direct traffic, with a little crowd of bathrobe-wrapped neighbors trailing behind, eyes wide and hungry for drama. That's when she points straight at me. No joke, I thought a laser beam might shoot out her finger, and shrieks, "That's him. He's trespassing. Arrest him right now. He's been making noise since 6 in the morning and disturbing our peaceful community." I swear my coffee nearly slipped right out of my hands. The older cop looked like he'd rather be anywhere else, but he kept it professional, turning to me with an eyebrow up. His younger partner tried and failed not to laugh. "Ma'am, what exactly is happening here?" the first officer asked, looking from her to me. This, I would soon learn, was Carol Piton, the self-proclaimed queen of Lakeshore Estates. She puffed up like an angry bird tracksuit, straining at the seams, and launched into a speech about bylaws, unauthorized occupancy, and permits, practically brandishing that clipboard as evidence in a murder trial. I put my box down, pulled out my phone, and showed the officers my digital deed. "I'm Drew Sullivan. I just closed on this place last week. My Uncle Frank left it to me in his will." The officers checked my paperwork, but Carol's face, oh man, you should have seen it, went purple. "That's impossible. Every property on this lake is HOA. I would know. He never submitted an application." She kept rattling off rules like she was reading from the Bible. The officer, bless him, took a deep breath and said, "Ma'am, this gentleman owns the property. Unless there's evidence of a crime, there's nothing for us to do here." Of course, Carol wasn't satisfied. She started piling on complaints. I hadn't paid. HOA fees, hadn't gone to their orientation. My moving truck blocked the scenic view, on and on. The younger officer asked if my cabin was part of the HOA. I cut in. "Actually, this place predates your whole neighborhood by 40 years. My uncle never joined the HOA. Carol's eyes narrowed so hard I thought her sunglasses might crack. "We'll see about that, Mr. Sullivan. Nobody makes a fool out of Carol Piton." Then she stomped away, shoes squeaking against the gravel like a cartoon. As soon as the cops left, giving me an apologetic nod and a whispered good luck, Carol set up camp at the edge of my property. She planted herself in a folding chair, thermos in hand, armed with a camera straight out of National Geographic, and her ever-present clipboard. I swear she photographed everything: the moving truck, my boxes, even the sandwich I left on the porch. "That's improperly stored food, a bear hazard," she called out. "It's a sandwich, Carol." "That's President Piton to you," she snapped. Then she fined me $50 for not using her proper title. Yeah, that happened. The next 3 days, nightmare. Every morning 7 a.m. sharp, she was there with new violations. My dock was 2 inches too long. My trash cans were the wrong color. The movers left tire marks. She came at me with a stack of papers full of bogus fines. $900 for unauthorized dock usage. $600 for non-compliant refuse containers. $1,200 for property damage. All printed in Comic Sans with little clip art borders. I tried to keep my cool, told her again and again I wasn't in the HOA, but she just laughed, sounding like a rusty gate. Things have changed. I'm president now. That night I started digging county records, digital archives, you name it. And what I found blew my mind. Not only was my property never part of the HOA, but Lakeshore Estates had been slowly encroaching on state land for years. Their private beach built, right on protected shoreline. That fancy boat launch extended into wetlands. The walking trails. Half of them cut across land they didn't own. But the real kicker, I found emails from Carol and the previous board openly plotting how to pressure folks like me into compliance, trying to establish precedent as they put it, by bullying non-members. Armed with this little gold mine, I started making phone calls. State Environmental Protection, County Commissioner, Department of Natural Resources. They were all real interested in what I had to say. Meanwhile, Carol ramped up her campaign. I came home one afternoon to find my dock wrapped in crime scene tape, a laminated notice nailed to a tree citing me for violating Regulation 473B, unauthorized watercraft mooring. I didn't even own a boat. She even recruited a compliance committee, 3 women in matching visors following her around, taking notes and snapping photos of everything I did. They cited me for excessive smoke emissions when I grilled burgers, unpermitted construction when I fixed a board. The last straw, Carol showed up with a decibel meter and measured my footsteps on the dock. 82 decibels. That's above our peaceful enjoyment threshold. I told her as calmly as I could, Carol, that's the same volume as a garbage disposal. Are you really trying to fine me for walking? It's aggressive stomping, she said, her committee nodding in perfect unison. That was it. I documented everything, every absurd citation, every weird encounter, and kicked off my own counterattack. The first inspector showed up a week later. Carol hurried over, smiling, clipboard ready, until the guy introduced himself as being from the State Environmental Agency. I watched from my porch as he took soil samples from their private beach and measured the boat launch. Next came the county surveyor, spending days marking real property lines. Then the public access folks asking about blocked lake entry points. Every time a new official showed up, Carol looked more rattled, her visor just a little more askew. The big HOA emergency meeting, that was a show. The clubhouse was packed, people buzzing. Carol stood at the podium trying to blame me for all the trouble. He's harassing us with inspectors. He's bitter about our reasonable fees, but the room wasn't buying it. Carol, is it true the state's fining us? $50,000, a man shouted. Her face went pale. That's under negotiation. What about the cease and desist for the beach? A woman yelled. My kids love that beach. Carol stammered something about temporary setbacks and my husband's cousin, the lawyer. I finally stood up, asked if I could address the board. You're not a member, Carol snapped, but the treasurer waved me forward. I handed out copies of everything. The original lake surveys, emails, official findings. Your HOA has claimed authority over land and properties it doesn't own for years, I told them. My cabin, 3 other vintage places, and 2 acres of state waterfront. Chaos. Residents shouting, board members flipping through papers, faces going pale. Carol slammed her gavel so hard it broke, lemonade splashing across the refreshment table. Lies. He's a troublemaker, a government plant. He forged everything. The treasurer just held up one email. Carol, this is literally from your account discussing how to establish dominance over non-compliant properties. That's out of context, Carol shrieked. The subject line is Operation Total Lake Control, another board member said deadpan. Then a neighbor named Janet stood up, waving her own pile of papers. $600 because my kayak was the wrong shade of blue. $800 because my wind chimes were culturally inappropriate. Suddenly, everyone was chiming in garden gnomes with aggressive expressions, bird feeders that attracted non-approved species. By the end, it was clear Carol's reign wasn't just about me. When it finally went to court, the judge didn't mince words. The HOA was forced to remove every illegal structure, stripped of any claim to land beyond their actual deeds, fined $175,000. And just to top it off, Carol was barred from serving in any HOA leadership role for 10 years. 10 years. When the judge read that out, Carol went ballistic, tried to lunge at the bench. Her visor went flying, her husband trying to hold her back. Security had to step in. The judge hammered the gavel again, hit her with another $5,000 for contempt. Carol just sat there, stunned, mouth opening and closing like a goldfish as everyone else filed out, avoiding eye contact. Funny thing is, after all that, the neighborhood actually got a little friendlier. People started waving again, stopping by to say hi. The old guy who'd nodded at me that first day brought over a pie. Even the folks who used to glare from behind their blinds seemed relieved. You know, looking back, I can't help but wonder how many other neighborhoods out there are run by little dictators in pink visors. Who gets to decide what community really means? Is it following every rule to the letter, or is it looking out for each other? Letting people be, yeah, I won, but I'm not sure the story's really over. That lake's still there, the sun still comes up. But folks are watching. So tell me, who do you think was right? Is there ever a good side to an HOA? Or is it all just power trips and paperwork? Drop your thoughts below. Let's hear what you'd do if Carol was in charge of your lake.